There are only two bicep exercises you need to build incredible arms over 40, and in this video, I'm gonna show you what they are so you can avoid wasting your time on the wrong exercises and finally get your biceps to grow. My name is Rio, and I specialize in helping busy men over 40 gain muscle, lose fat, and transform their bodies through simple, minimalist weight training. Over the last 7 years, I've taken my physique from this to this. And while I'm not 40 myself, my clients are, and I know exactly what it takes to transform your body at this stage in life. First, I'm gonna show you what these exercises are, and then I'm gonna talk about 2 make or break factors that will determine if your biceps grow or not, because just doing the right exercises isn't enough. Now, you might be expecting me to give you some fancy bicep curl that's gonna magically grow your arms, but the truth is, that doesn't exist, and anyone telling you it does is full of shit. However, there is one exercise that will be responsible for roughly 80% of your bicep development, and that exercise is the weighted chin-up. There is no exercise as effective as heavy weighted chin-ups for developing your biceps. And I'll tell you a funny story. Not long ago, I had this guy who approached me in the gym and he was like, dude, how'd you get your biceps so big? I've been doing an arm day with like 5 different bicep curls, been doing a ton of sets, ton of reps, and I just can't get my biceps to grow. And I was like, dude, all I do is heavy weighted chin-ups, and I just focus on getting stronger and stronger at my weighted chin-ups. That's it. And when I said that, I could tell he didn't really believe me, right? And so I gave him an example to really drill the point home. I was like, dude, go find me anyone doing 100-pound weighted chin-ups who has small biceps. You won't fucking find it. It doesn't exist. It's impossible, right? Now, go find me people who have arm days who are doing 10 different bicep curls who have small arms. You'll find tons of them. And that's because when it comes to developing great biceps, no other exercise even comes close to the weighted chin-up. And that's for a couple different reasons. First, you can load it very heavy, right? Compare the loading potential on weighted chin-ups to a bicep curl. You can't go that heavy on bicep curls no matter how strong you get. But a weighted chin-up, you can work yourself up to like 100-pound weighted chin-ups, which is what I've gotten mine up to over the years, right? And the next thing is progressive overload. Weighted chin-ups have a massive potential for progressive overload. You can continue getting stronger at them week after week, whereas with bicep curls, there's a pretty strong cap at how much you can progressively overload them over time, right? You don't see people doing fucking bicep curls with 100-pound dumbbells. It just doesn't happen, right? And so with weighted chin-ups, you can load them very heavy and place a lot of tension on your biceps as a result, and you can continue adding weight and reps over time. Hey, real quick, if you're a busy man over 40, I created a free training for you that will show you my 2-hour per week minimalist training system that's helping men like you rapidly gain muscle and lose fat. You can pick it up completely free by clicking the first link in my description. And so when it comes to what makes an exercise great, there are basically 3 different criteria. First, it must work a lot of muscle in your body, it must have a great loading potential, meaning you can go very heavy on it, and it must be easy to progressively overload, meaning you can add weight and you can add reps over time. And the weighted chin-up hits on all of these 3. The weighted chin-up will give you 80% of your bicep development, but there's still that last 20% that needs to be filled. And the best way to do that is with an effective bicep curl. And so if there's one big takeaway here, it's that compound exercises will always produce the majority of muscle growth for any muscle that can be targeted with one, right? And so some muscle groups can't be targeted with compound exercises alone, like your neck, for example, or your calves. These muscle groups need direct work, but if you can target a muscle group with a big compound exercise that you can load heavy and that works a lot of muscle and that you can progressively overload over time, that's always going to be the most effective. But for that icing on top of the cake, that last 20% of development, you're gonna wanna throw in an effective isolation exercise. There's so many good bicep curls that can fit the bill because honestly, developing your biceps is not complex. The bicep only really has one function, which is to curl, right? And so many exercises can fit the bill. Many exercises can grow your biceps. However, there's one exercise that I would put in first place, and it's the Bayesian cable curl. And so I love free weight movements. I love dumbbell movements and barbell movements, but when it comes to the biceps, the reason why the Bayesian cable curl is so effective is because there is constant tension throughout the entire range of motion. And so with a lot of bicep curls, there's only significant tension at certain parts of the movement. And so on an incline dumbbell curl, for example, there's only significant tension at the bottom of the movement when your biceps are stretched, right? And when you get to the top, there's no real tension. But with the Bayesian cable curl, there's tension throughout the entire range of motion. And what's great about this movement in particular is that the greatest amount of tension is placed on the bicep in the stretched position, which is really important because that's where the majority of muscle growth is stimulated. Believe it or not, just doing the right exercises is not enough to grow your biceps. There are two make or break factors that will really determine whether your biceps grow or not. And those two factors are intensity and progressive overload. Intensity just means training close to failure, which means pushing the set to where you can no longer move the weight despite exerting maximal effort. And progressive overload just means getting stronger over time through adding weight and/or reps. In other words, to make sure your biceps actually grow, you need to push these exercises really hard and close to failure, and you need to make sure that you progressively overload them over time through adding weight or reps. The reason why these two factors are so important is because tension is what drives muscle growth, and tension is created by training close to failure, right? Training hard. But that's not even enough to keep muscle growth coming over the long term. To continue gaining muscle long term, you need to continue increasing the tension that you subject your biceps to, right? And the way to do that is to apply progressive overload. It's to add weight and/or reps to these exercises over time. And so in other words, if you continue curling the same weight or doing the same weight on weighted chin-ups for months on end, your biceps will not grow because you're not giving them a reason to, right? And so without these two principles in place, you could be doing the best bicep exercises in the world, but your biceps will not grow. If you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love this video right here where I talk about how to double your muscle growth if you're over 40.